Anyway, let's continue with Double Down News.
Britain. The international community has given the greenest of green lights to the Israeli army to do what it wants, and that means the freedom to commit war crimes. You'll see Western values as they actually operate, raining down bombs on completely innocent Gazan civilians. Whether they're supporters of Hamas, Fatah, whether they're civilians, they're going to die and are dying in their thousands. Where are Western values there? If there's blood on anyone's hands, it's on those who say
Israel has a right to defend itself.
Israel has the perfect right to defend itself.
Israel has a right to defend itself.
Israel must have that, does have that right to defend herself.
Israel has an absolute right to defend itself.
Israel.
When someone says herself, you know they're fucking completely locked in. Okay? When someone refers to Israel as her, like Keir Starmer did right there, they are so unimaginably invested. Kid Starver, Keir Starmer.
Has a right to self-defense.
this is not the whole story. It's not the defense of Israel. It is the expansion of Israel, and it is the creation of an apartheid regime even more severe than the one that happened in South Africa. Israel says it's fighting an existential war, and it has compared what Hamas did to a Holocaust.
Yeah, that's why they call Keir Starmer the kid starver, because his response, Sir Kid Starver's response, came after a question of Israel in the beginning. This was like early October when Yoav Gallant said that we're going to fucking cut off the food, the water, and the electricity from these human animals that we're fighting. His response to that question, should Israel be able to cut off the food, the electricity, and the water supply of the Palestinian population, was Israel has a right to defend herself. That's why they call him the kid starver. He got in trouble for that. It was so funny because, yeah, they have that right. He said they have that right. Now, what's funny about that is that it was an unimaginable blunder, right? It's like, what the fuck? You're a human rights lawyer. What are you saying? Holy shit. This is the most insane thing. Like, fucking Tories aren't like that bold, right? And so he turned around and he was like, I've never said that. And then for like weeks, they literally, for weeks, they kept showing him his exact quote anytime he went anywhere. Because although British media is incredibly Zionist, like ultra Zionist, they also are simultaneously very anti-labor. Like they have this like epigenetic, biological, predeterministic anti-labor attitude. No matter what happens, like they have to be anti-labor. So they would just like keep dunking on him for it, while simultaneously also offering unconditional support. They're so petty. Oh, come on, Hasan. Why should Israel give water and food to Hamas? It's not fair to expect them to. That's my answer to you. Okay. Come on, dude. Why does Germany feed the Jews in the concentration camps? That's their mortal enemy, dude. Come on. I don't understand, dude. I don't get it. Oh, that's not why they call him that? I'm British. They call him that because of a feud over a child tax credit. Oh, my bad. I thought that was the reason why they said he's a kid starver. Come on, bro. Do you think the German government has a right to feed the Jews that literally were in their ranks and like doing Jewish tricks? Oh my God. Do you see how fucking indecent that sounds when you make this argument? It's because what you're doing is akin to a Nazi doing Nazi propaganda in the fucking 1930s, in the 1940s. What?
Holocaust. Half my family died in the Holocaust. There's no comparison from a Palestinian perspective. You have to realize that Israel was the lords, the masters of the land. They controlled all your movements. They controlled how much you ate. They controlled who you married. It's the one that decides when to attack. This is a country used to total control over 1/2 of the population, and it lost that control. And it lost that control wildly. I'm appalled by some of the things that happened. Desperation turned into savagery, and I will use that word about what happened at Kfar Aza, or the music festival that took place where unarmed festival goers.
See, listen, it's true. Israel lost its grip of control on the Palestinian population due to the sheer arrogance, the sheer hubris that they felt, and because they believed their own propaganda that the Palestinians were servile dogs that could never create a strong offensive campaign. Straight up. And they learned, what? You want the basketball? Why? What? Talk. Use your words. They can't hear you. You're going to ball without me? That is the most disrespectful thing you've ever done since... That is the most disrespectful thing you've done to me since your arrival in my home. The fact that you said no, to balling with me, my basketball is in the back of my, no, that one is, it's low on air, is in the back of my trunk in my car. Just take the car too. Take it all, Chris. Take it all. You already took my heart and my soul when you fucking refused to ball with me and went to Runyon instead on Sunday. Anyway, where the fuck were we? Lol, are you like levels below him in basketball? No, I cook his ass, dude. That's why he doesn't want to play with me, because he's scared. Yeah. Keep coping. Okay, well, tomorrow we are going to ball then. No. Oh. Anyway, the point I was trying to make is that their hubris, their arrogance, and their sheer dehumanization of the Palestinian population led the Israeli government into a false sense of security. And when they lost control because of the near century of dehumanization and violence that they were subjected to, the Palestinians, they pushed back in an act of desperate savagery. I think is a almost poetic way to put it. Okay? Savagery brought about desperation. It's exactly what happened. You see canopies like that, you know they're playing white people psytrance. Oh my God. Anyway. It's so wild how different of your coverage is from most mainstream media of the war in Palestine. Yes. And that difference in my tone and in my coverage, which I think is objective and correct, is the reason why so many people left this community, only to return now that they realize, like, maybe I wasn't in the wrong at all. It's not the same in Nazi Germany. Jews were fully integrated to German society. Gaza has its own government. Yes, brother, because in Nazi Germany, in the lead up to Nazi Germany, they did not maintain an apartheid regime. So your argument literally is that Israel is worse in that regard because they've never offered full integration, even though that's not fully correct either. What the fuck do you mean? There were ghettos. Not defending the Nazis, oh my lord. Yeah, I think so. They created ghettos and put marks on Jewish people before the camps. Yes. I think this chatter, to be fair to this chatter, I think he means like before the ghettos. There was obviously discrimination against the Jews. There was obviously discrimination against the Jews in Germany before the Nazi regime. I suspect that's what he's talking about, before the ghettos, before people being marked as like Jews in Germany. I don't know. Anyway, let's continue.
Goers were shot like ducks. These scenes are unknown to the current generation of Israelis, and the shock this has produced, the sudden loss of confidence in its star performer, which is its army and its intelligence services, cannot be underestimated. That shock has now turned to anger. That anger has now turned to an unholy desire to kill Gazans.
I think now it's the time that we need to erase Gaza.
We gotta wipe them off the fucking map. I'm talking about.
These guys are Kahanas, by the way. I remember they had like a JDL flag and shit at this protest.
Every fucking flat's been like a parking lot.
Kill Palestine!
Oh, here it is. Here, there you go. There's a TOS moment coming up. That's why
All of them!
There's a kafar azar happening every night in Gaza. Women and children buried under rubble. There is absolutely apocalypse.
The reason why I changed the camera scene to just show my face and not what's on screen is because there is a 25-second compilation of just dead children, of fathers carrying dead children out of the rubble. That's all this is for 25 whole seconds.
Apocalyptic scenes going on there. The Israeli Air Force deliberately targeting blocks, individual families, and wiping them out with precision weapons. And this is happening now to one family after another. I don't think Israel, and in particular the Israeli army, can give people lectures on brutality, particularly directed at children. It happens all the time in the so-called stable peace. There were 34 children killed so far this year by soldiers in the West Bank. So there is butchery and there's barbarity on both sides. The problem is what's taking place in Gaza, which is truly apocalyptic, is done on an industrial scale. And by the time this comes out, the death toll will mount and mount. Yoav Gallant, the Israeli defense minister, the man who said that Palestinians are human animals, said Israeli forces will not be held accountable for anything they do. So all the past rules have been torn up, and Israel is going.
And it's not like the past rules were actually good either. The past rules were also uniquely cruel and unusual and barbaric. Make no mistake. It's just that they expanded on the previous already fucking violent actions that the Israeli state had taken and greatly amplified it. In 1939, part of Hitler's anti-Semitic propaganda was similar to what the Israelis are saying today. TLDR, Germany was criticized for their anti-Semitic actions, but when asked in England, France, etc., wanted the German Jewish population, they said no. This is, of course, not fully true, but this is similar to what Israel is saying with Egypt, Iran, and other Arab states.
For the maximum number of Gaza.
So you don't condemn Hamas for October 7th? 7 months into this war is crazy. These people took hostages. When was that ever good? Allah? Dude. Bait used to be believable at the top of the hour, okay? When you come in here with an MLG Dankman type username and you just say, you know, why are you not condemning the fucking October 7 attacks at 4:58 p.m.? It's just like, you know, you just can't, you can't do that. Like, that's not a good way to try and bait me. Okay? It's just not happening. Why am I blocked by this person? Big things are happening on Pitbull inbreeding Insta. Red Rum. One of the craziest bullies on earth. Red Rum is beyond crazy with a unique look you won't find around, guaranteed. And his productions speak for themselves. This boy will be at West Coast Bully Expo 8. TBC Lemon Drop X Chopsticks. TBC King Giagi X Lavender. Lemon Drop Sister, enjoy Bully World. 1000x Pimpy in that bad boy. Dude, this is so much worse than 2x Pimpy. This is 10x Pimpy. We've pimpied too much. We've pimpied too close to the sun. Anyway, like I said, though, at the top of the hour, there is a 3-minute ad break. Here it is now. Looks like a bug dog Pokemon. Yeah, it looks like an abomination. It looks like an affront to God. It looks like something that is begging to be killed. Like something that's literally going, please kill me. Please end. Please end the violence that I experience as I breathe every day of my life. Or else put me around a baby and I will chomp on that shit. And I will never let go. Look at the legs, dude. Yeah, someone call Christy Gnome, folks. Because this fucking abomination must be put down. Can we please start doing bully reacts? No. Anyway, way too pimpy. You have pimped too close to the sun, sir. Don't do it. Why did they name and market them like weed strains? Because they're awesome. Oh, it's so fucking hot in here right now. I'm losing my mind. It's literally 80 degrees in here. I'm fucking mad. When they eat babies, they're actually trying to do suicide by cop type thing. Or maybe they just really they greatly enjoy the taste of babies. Like, what do you mean? Okay, let's continue.
Casualties. And that's what the international community is allowing Israel to do. They have given Netanyahu the green light and an unlimited time to mount a ground invasion of Gaza. Gazans have tried to break out of their open-air prison before. It happened on the day in which Donald Trump's son-in-law was signing the ceremony that transferred the official American embassy to Jerusalem. On that very, very day, you had Palestinians unarmed who were gunned down demonstrating right next to the fence. They didn't break out of the fence, they were simply being shot at, rather like ducks, with the most sophisticated weapons. When that demonstration happened, Gazans learned a lesson, that the next breakout that they do would have to be armed.
Hamas is ISIS.
Hamas is very, very different from ISIS, and actually the two were at war with each other, in which there were quite a few dead bodies. There's no analytical comparison between Hamas and ISIS, and the main difference between them is that although the Hamas is an Islamist organization, an offshoot of the Muslim Brotherhood, Hamas is a resistance group dedicated to ending the occupation. And this still is a dispute and a conflict over land and not religion. Having said that, Hamas called its attack on southern Israel the Al-Aqsa flood for a reason. Al-Aqsa is being invaded and attacked all the time. Al-Aqsa isn't just their third holiest site for Islam. It's also a national symbol for Palestine. This sacred turf is actually being taken away piecemeal. And again, the West is letting them do this. This was the reason for Hamas saying enough is enough. But there were lots of other reasons as well. If you can imagine it, 16 years in an open-air prison with the electricity controlled or rationed, food rationed, 60% unemployment, settler attacks on Palestinian villages protected by the army, which Israelis themselves describe as pogroms, a total impossibility of a political solution or even a national unity government, and that suited Israel absolutely fine. When they were demonstrating about democracy in Israel, no one was talking about the obvious elephant in the room, which was an apartheid regime for half of the population, the Palestinian population. Neither left nor right were bothered about it. And that too is an ingredient into what actually happened here, because the message that was being given by Israel to the Palestinians is, you don't matter. We can do it without you. We can control you, and we've forgotten about the Palestinian state. No one is interested in it. Just days before this attack happened was the imminence of a normalization deal between Saudi Arabia and Israel. And Netanyahu got up in the...
Do you understand? This is why the Trump administration and the Abraham Accords were fucking awful and played a massive role in October 7 happening. If you give people no other option but to resist violently, remember? What is it? Making it impossible to have peaceful revolution makes violent revolution inevitable. Not a RFK quote, JFK quote. It's true. Those who make peaceful revolution impossible will make violent revolution inevitable. It's precisely what Israel and those in the United States of America did.
United Nations General Assembly, waving a map that eradicated Palestine completely and saying,
We'll build a new corridor of peace and prosperity that connects Asia through the UAE, Saudi Arabia, Jordan, Israel, to Europe. This is an extraordinary change, a monumental change.
Reversing the logic of the last possibility of an agreement on a two-state solution, which is in 2002, which was called the Arab Peace Initiative. You've got Israel that's turning the screw all the time and encroaching. There are now 700,000 settlers. It's impossible to put a Palestinian state, and everyone knows it. But a two-state solution is cynically the policy of all European governments and America. It's a policy that can't now possibly exist. And that is the situation that the Palestinians are facing. Now, what the Hamas attack has done is to say, I'm sorry, we're here. You cannot ignore us. Now, they've done it in a brutal way. They have definitely committed crimes against humanity. But the Palestinians, who would not necessarily support Hamas at all, would say, what the hell else do we do? And that's what's happening all over the place to a new generation of Palestinians. And this is the fundamental problem of Israel thinking that it can wipe Gaza out. It can wipe Gaza out. It can kill 10,000 people, 20,000 people. It cannot kill the Palestinian cause. Hamas is a complicated organization to...
Unless it kills every Palestinian. That's it. If you do half genocide, then, you know, you can't get away with it. No half measures, which is seemingly what Israel's doing anyway.
Describe. It has various wings. There is a faction of Hamas that controls Gaza, and there is Mohammed al-Dif, the head of the Qassam brigades, named after a Syrian preacher who turned to resistance under the British mandate. He was killed by the British in a forest outside Jenin. What the West and Israel permanently misunderstands about the nature of Palestinian resistance was that his name and example lived on. If Israel now succeeds in eradicating the military leadership, the Qassam brigades of Gaza, and kills them all, what do you think is going to happen to the memory that they leave behind? Yes, they can level Gaza. They can reduce the whole thing to a pile of rubble. They can kill 100,000 people, and they can say, job done. And they can even defeat Hezbollah. But what do you think is going to happen to the memory of all those dead in a new generation that will break out with even stronger force in 20 or 30 years' time? That's history. That's what's happened before.
It's ironic because that's what happened with Hamas. Like people always chirp about Hamas, but Hamas's evolution can be traced back to Israeli violence once again. Hamas growing, Hamas mobilizing, Hamas engaging in acts of violent resistance, not just against the Israeli state actors like the military, but to directly like Israeli civilians themselves. Even that is a change in tactics that directly came as a consequence. Shut up for once, bing bong looking ass. The fuck? Why are you a whole ass 45-year-old talking like you're one of those Zoomers on one of those fucking New York videos at the subway station? Oh, don't you wish you was with the Knicks? That's what you're gonna say next, dude? Bing bong looking ass. $2013 creation account saying bing bong looking ass. Crazy.
Resistance, armed resistance, has been crushed many times. It was crushed in 1948. It was crushed in 1969. It was crushed in 1973. It's been crushed regularly. And what has happened? Hamas is now much, much stronger than previous iterations of it. So there's always going to be, whoever you call them, a very strong element of Palestinians who say the only way of changing the situation is by armed resistance, until they are involved in proper negotiations and a peace deal and a calm and an exchange of prisoners. But if Israel thinks that they can wipe out Hamas and wipe out the Palestinian resistance, history tells us they are completely wrong. And all we are doing now is setting the seeds for an even more powerful round of resistance in 1 or 2 decades to come. How do we stop the violence? We stop the violence by reversing course, by realizing that the Palestinians are people, that there's always going to be resistance.
Whoa, you're coming across real anti-Semitic right now, big dog. I'm gonna stop you right there. Big dog. You just said we gotta recognize Palestinians as humans. I'm sorry. That seems kind of anti-Semitic to me. I know you are a Jewish man and I'm a Muslim here, okay? But I'm afraid I'm gonna have to stop you right there before you make more inferences about how Palestinians are human beings. You know what I mean? Cool it. Cool it before you get referenced in the ADL database for an anti-Semitic hate crime. Okay, David A. Hurst. Just saying.
Whether it's Hamas, whether it's anyone else, whatever they call themselves, they are not going to be chucked off their land. There is not going to be another Nakba. They're going to stay there, whatever, and they're going to die on that land. The only way out of this incredible cul-de-sac that we've got ourselves into is to stop giving Israel the green light, is to enforce negotiations with a broadly representative Palestinian national unity government that allows Palestinians to elect their own leaders, that lifts the siege on Gaza and lifts the siege on all the other Palestinian enclaves in the West Bank, and that you start a process of sharing the land from the river to the sea between the two peoples. And this has got to be done with a realization in Israel that there is no end to this until they fundamentally reverse course. The alternative media in a crisis like this is really important because it provides a
great video from Double Down News, consistently doubling down. That was David Hurst, editor-in-chief of Middle East Eye, talking to Double Down News. One of my favorite British broadcasters out there. What if they kill 2 million Palestinians? Well, there's another 2.5 million in the West Bank. But also, even if you killed all of the Palestinians, inevitably, given the way that fascism operates, you would then turn your crosshairs on the Arab citizens of Israel, the Palestinian citizens of Israel. And then if you wipe them out, then you would inevitably turn your crosshairs into the Mizrahi Jews inside of Israel, those who harbor Arab characteristics. That's just how it works. Okay? That's just how fascism works. There's no endpoint to fascism. It is a suicide cult. There's always an in-group, out-group dynamic.